Hello and welcome to Premier League Prime Time, the second fan cam of the day. Manchester United nil, Manchester City nil, and I'm joined here by our brilliant co-host Jose. How you doing? How you doing, bro?
Not too bad. Not too disappointed with the results. Real Madrid won as well, so I'm pretty happy this morning.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. As I just said, today at Old Trafford, Manchester United nil, Manchester City nil. A disappointing game, I guess, for both sides, and I guess for the spectators in general, just watching this. What did you make of just the overall performance today by
I
Manchester
I
United?
really didn't enjoy it. I really want to see Ole, coming out really looking to win these big games. I mean, if you look at the results we've had in the big games, it's like obviously the 6-1 loss to Tottenham, 0-0 to Chelsea, a loss 1-0 to Arsenal. And now we have another 0-0 against City. So it's like he's just been really negative in these big games, and I really don't enjoy it. I want to see him come out, play really good attacking football, and win these games.
Yeah, and talking about those big games, it's really on and weird to say, Jose, that if you look at all last year, like of course I'll leave a lot of criticism, but one thing you could always say is that when it came to the big games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer always showed up. He
Yeah,
always showed up last
absolutely.
year in the big games. I mean, with Liverpool at home, I mean, considering the fact Liverpool had beaten every single team, and Manchester United then became the only
Yeah, we
team.
were we were the only team for the majority of the season to take any points at all from Liverpool
Mhm.
last year.
Yeah, I think it was us, Watford, Chelsea, and Manchester
Well,
City.
yeah, at the end it kind of mounted up, but
Yeah,
for I
yeah,
don't know, probably like
yeah,
25
of
games,
course, yeah.
we were the only team at all to take any points from them.
Yeah, but the first half of the season, we were the only team to take points out of Liverpool. I mean,
Yeah,
we drew with Liverpool. We beat City. Let's beat Chelsea opening day 4-0. Drew with Arsenal at home. It's not really great drawing against small club like Arsenal. But yeah, and also focusing on this game, a 0-0 draw in the Manchester Derby. And what were your thoughts on the way Manchester City played today?
I think they played their usual style when they wanted to build from the back, and we did our best to counter it, but it wasn't the usual all they display against Man City where we just sit back really deep and try to counterattack. We actually took the game to City pretty well in this game. We just couldn't really get the chances into the final
We
third
couldn't break
where,
them down.
yeah, couldn't break them down exactly.
When it came to personnel, thinking about who would he go for, I was actually thinking Dan James might give himself a shout, just because we all know Man City like to play. And I thought we were just gonna go for that back five, just because that's I was assuming Ollie was gonna go with that back five. He had the players and personnel for it. I thought it was going to be on a Rashford and James or Greenwood and James, Martial and James. I thought Dan James would, as crazy enough, would get in the starting lineup, but only because of his pace. But yeah, and questions have to be asked about some of these players. We'll start with the center back pairing because those two have been coming in a lot of scrutiny since RB Leipzig. What did you make of Lindelof and Maguire today? Just an overall assessment.
I thought they were pretty solid defensively. I think Maguire takes man of the match. I thought he had a really good game. Put in two great blocks. Probably would have conceded two goals if he hadn't put them in. So that's the only reason I think he was man of the match. But neither of them were really tested for pace, which we know that pace is their main issue for what they
Yeah,
can't really deal with. Neither of them were really tested. So I mean, it's not going to be this game's not really going to be indicative of how good they are. But they both played pretty well in their roles this game, I think.
yeah, 100%. And if you look at this game, and especially when it came to some of the team selections, you have to take a note in some of them. I was definitely surprised by some of the team selections or some of the players that were picked today and were started today. Anyways, are you ready to get right into these player ratings?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, all right, all right. Absolutely fantastic. We'll get right into goal. Between the sticks, David Hay. I'm not giving my player ratings because I gave my player ratings back with Nate and Henry, who are absolutely brilliant. If you want to see my player ratings, you can go check that out over there. But yeah, Jose, what are you giving for David De Gea for today?
I give David De Gea probably a 7. I think he was just a bit above average today.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, yeah, what do I give him? I think I give him a 6 or 7. I'll give like my a very brief player ratings, very brief. Yeah, but I gave him a 6 just because he was average. He didn't have a lot to do, so yeah, I gave him a 6 to be fair. Um, Starting off with that back four, going at right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think I give him a 7 today. I think he was pretty good at stopping Sterling definitely.
Um, I thought Wan-Bissaka did well. I thought Aaron was good, but I wouldn't give him a 7. I would give him a 6. If you're watching closely in that first half, Raheem Sterling a couple times sent Aaron Wan-Bissaka sliding back to Selhurst Park and Crystal Palace, as I said in the last episode, or in the in the fan cam with Nate and with Henry. So yeah, for me, I think it's he gets a 6. He did well, but yeah, again, this issue going forward again, him going forward, it's
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
so
That's not good.
it's not good enough. I'm not saying Wan-Bissaka is good. I love Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a fantastic player. I think personally, if developed and coached properly, I think Wan-Bissaka could be one of the best right backs in the world.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But yeah,
He's better defensively than almost every right back in the world.
yeah,
But
yeah, I'd say so.
going forward, nowhere near the likes of Carvajal or Trent or anyone like that.
Yeah. If Wan-Bissaka had Trent Alexander-Arnold's abilities going forward, I think he'd be the best right back in the world,
Yeah,
without
easily.
question, 100%. But yeah, Wan-Bissaka today was pretty average. So I'd give him a 6. Going to that center back pairing, and we'll start off with Victor Lindelof. Now, what are you giving Victor for today?
I'd give Lindelof a 6. I think it's just about average. Some of his ball distribution in the first half, not too great. Hit a lot of sideways passes, didn't really get the ball forward very much. So yeah, I think it's an average performance. He was solid defensively, so not too bad with him.
For for me personally, that back four, I thought Lindelof kind of stood out. Um, he was definitely the better of the two, in my opinion. He definitely had some very, very poor sloppy passes. So I got to dock him points on that. A couple times he definitely made me a bit nervous. Like when he's trying to defend Raheem Sterling, that definitely gave me a couple heart attacks or two. Yeah. But I thought Lindelof was okay, and I gave him I think I gave him a 5. And now the next one, and as I said with Nate and Henry, not only am I rating him based off his performance, I'm also rating him because he's our captain, based off of being a captain. Harry Maguire.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd give him an 8. I thought he was really good in this game. Obviously, he wasn't tested for pace, like I said earlier. So, if he had been tested for pace, we probably would have seen where his weaknesses lie. I think he did pretty well as the captain today as well. He was very composed. I think he relaxed the back line a lot. He looked very calm on the ball, which I like. And he made 2 crucial blocks. So I think he was our stand-up performer today, in my opinion.
Yeah. For me, Harry Maguire definitely worried me a lot today. When it came to just like his touches, I love Harry Maguire, but I mean his touches is bad as Lukaku. So let's be real here. His touch was trampoline toes. I mean, there was only one play where he was trying to pass Luke Shaw the ball, and his touch was so heavy, and he just dribbled it right out of play, and I was like bewildered. Like I did not get it. I thought Harry Maguire was well below what you're rating him. And I think I gave him a 5 or something. Yeah. Going
But we
into
would have lost the game. We literally would have lost the game if he hadn't been playing there.
what do you mean we would have lost the game?
Because he put in 2 great blocks.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess he did, but still though, and you're also rating him based off of being a captain, and
I am ready off being captain. I think he was very composed. He looked very nice today.
Yeah. I'm not seeing him shout around to the back four. I'm not seeing him, shout to his
Yeah,
midfielders.
he can definitely do a better job of that. But I mean, there's only so much you can ask for. He's obviously he's limited. He's limited in terms of what he can do defensively. So I think he needs to worry about that more than worry about being captain. I don't think it's his fault that Ole named him captain. I think Bruno should definitely be the captain. But I think he did well in the circumstances today.
All right. All right. Well, there you have it for Harry Maguire. And going into left back, Luke Shaw. Um,
I'd give him probably a 6 today. I think he put in some good balls from the corner today, which I thought was interesting that he was taking it over Bruno. I think that Maguire definitely could have scored one chance that Shaw provided him today, but defensively he looked okay, so I'd probably give him a 6 today.
yeah, I gave Luke Shaw a 5. For me, we have a brilliant a set piece a person in Bruno Fernandes, and why are we sending Luke Shaw to take corners? I don't get that. I mean, yes, it's an in-swinging ball, but you have someone the quality Bruno Fernandes has, and you send Luke Shaw. Don't really get that. Maybe Solskjaer is mixing Luke Shaw and Alex Telles, but yeah, they don't have the same crossing abilities. So yeah, I gave Luke Shaw 5. Going into central midfield, and we'll start with the new Casemiro, Mr. Fredinho. What are you giving Fredinho for today's performance?
I thought he was good defensively, but after he had that little injury, I just didn't see too much of him. I'd probably give him probably a 5. I think he was solid when he was on the ball. He didn't give the ball away, but he didn't do a good job playing it forward. So yeah, I think a 5 for him.
Yeah, I think I give Fred a 6. And I think just playing through the injury, and knowing Ollie, he's probably not going to take you off. Yeah, I gave Fred 6. I think he was very dynamic in the midfield. So yeah, I gave him a 6. Yes, I know he got the injury, and he wasn't really passing as much forward, and he really wasn't passing too much forwards. But I mean, in the circumstances he was in, I thought Fred played well today. I thought he was one of our better players. And we'll go to the left side of that diamond, and that is a player who I don't think anybody would have thought would start this game in Paul Pogba. I thought Paul Pogba was. I think if out of anyone, I thought Paul Pogba was the man of the match. I think just he did everything asked of him. Defensively, he was good, and what I love about Paul Pogba is that anytime he has the ball, there's probably at least 2 or 3 guys pulling on the back of his shirt, and he takes it as if there's nothing, like there's nothing going on. And yeah, I thought Paul Pogba was very, very good today. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Paul Pogba today?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he did his best to get the ball forward. He put in some good long balls to Bruno. Uh, I think that yeah, he was good going forward, definitely. I didn't see too much of him defensively, but I think he looked good in more of a free role because he's got Fred and McTominay as well to cover for him defensively. So I think he looked good because he didn't have to come back and defend very much. So I'd probably give him a 7 today. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, I also gave him a 7 as well. And going to and in contrast of the player I thought had the best performance, we'll go to the right side of that diamond with the player who I thought had, quite frankly, the worst performance. Scott
Really?
McTominay again. Scott McTominay again. I mean, honestly, why does this guy keep getting picked?
I thought he had one of his best games today.
Really? Because there are many times where
Absolutely.
he gave the ball away so many times.
He makes his mistakes as he usually does, but I mean, he's an average player. I'll be honest with you. He definitely is. But I think he had one of his better games today by far. I think he put in some really good challenges today, and his balls forward were mostly pretty good. He definitely played the ball forward more than Fred did today.
Yeah. Well, in defensive Fred, I mean, the position he put Fred in, he put
Fred and
Fred in a.
McTominay basically played the same position today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that, but yeah, I gave McTominay a 4. I just was not impressed whatsoever with his performance. I thought
I
he
give
was
him I give him a
poor.
6 today.
I mean, he had some good moments. Like he had a couple of cheeky suppers. I'm like, whoa, Scotty there, my guy. I mean, where'd you get that from? But Yeah, really wasn't impressed. I think he gave him a 4 or 5. And we'll go to the number 10, the playmaker, the man himself, Bruno Fernandes. And I thought he was underwhelming, but at the same time, he looked so frustrated. Another frustrating game for Bruno Fernandes. Honestly, I feel sorry for this guy. I do to a certain extent.
Yeah, me too.
But it's not going his way, or when it's not going Manchester United's way. It's as if everybody just looks over like that at Bruno, and Bruno's thinking, oh, again, yeah. People are gonna say Bruno disappeared, but Bruno. He was the only one, in my opinion. He was the only one constantly transitioning back and forth and back and forth, apart from, the midfield. But Bruno was doing it all the time, consistently, and he was always leading the lines and high presses and things like that. And you can't doubt his work ethic. But what are you giving Bruno for today?
Yeah, I think Bruno's easily the hardest worker in this team. I think he tracks back more than anyone in that front line. Definitely, he works the hardest by far. He did well when he could today. I think he was being marked a lot by Fernandinho and Rodri, so it was tough for him. But he worked really hard. I'd give him probably a 6, just because of the amount of effort he put in. But nothing really went his way in this one.
Yeah. For all the things that he did, I actually did give him a +1 for that. I did give him a 7. And going into 2 up front, we'll start with Mason Greenwood.
Uh, for me, pretty much he was pretty much anonymous today. I didn't really see him at all, except for that one time he cut in, and then he put in a pretty poor shot on goal. But I thought he should have definitely played it to Rashford, who was in a little bit of space. I'd probably give him a 5 for today.
And I actually gave Greenwood a 6. Yeah, he was definitely not his typical self, but we have to remember, Jose, that Mason Greenwood he's a young kid. He's learning. He hasn't even been in the Premier League for he hasn't even played full senior football for a year, or for an entirety of the year. He just had his first year in the Premier League, and this guy is exceptional. I don't think anyone can deny that. But this guy's being thrown in so many different systems. 1 week he's playing. They're playing 3 at the back. 1 week it's a 4-4-2 diamond. Next week it's a 4-2-3-1. His ability to just try and create, for me, is brilliant. But yeah, that's one thing he has to. That I think he has to just get in his brain, that yes, he is a striker, but at the same time, he's got to stop constantly doing step overs. Honestly, I think his step overs are great, and they're wonderful, and they're flashy, but at the same time, don't always do step overs, please. But yeah, I thought Mason did bits today. I give him a 6. And on the other side, Marcus Rashford. What are you giving Mr. Rashi for today?
For me, by far the worst performer in this team. I'd give him probably a 3. I thought he was absolutely terrible today, honestly. I think he, I think that he, I think that he didn't keep the ball enough. He didn't take his chances. He didn't really have. I'm not saying he had good chances, but he did. I think he could have done a lot better today.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I think one thing to see is, and again, Rashford's another player, kind of like Greenwood. He's being affected by the system that he's being played in. Again, whether it's the 3-5-2, whether it's the 4-4-2 diamond, whether it's the 4-2-3-1, it's hurting Rashford as well.
Yeah.
And for me, when you look at Rashford, right, and you're setting up a team, if you're gonna play him in a 2, you have to play him alongside Anthony Martial, because those two work incredibly well together. I don't think Rashford and Greenwood have the chemistry. I don't think they do.
I think they're two similar players. Neither of them can play very well with their back to goal, like Martial can. I think we would have benefited so much from having Martial start up front in this game, because it was very tight. They sat when they were defending, they sat really deep, which is so hard for Marcus Rashford to find real chances. He does really well in games like against Leipzig when he scored the hat trick, because they were playing such a high line. He could just get through so easily.
Yeah,
But I think we would have really benefited from having Martial start over either Greenwood or Rashford today.
yeah. And it seemed like a frustrating day for Rashford at the office. Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about anonymous for Greenwood,
Yeah,
I would be the first one to
anonymous for
say.
Rashford as well. Anonymous for Rashford as well, definitely.
I'd say Rashford was probably the most anonymous on the pitch, but you can't. But I mean, at some point he dropped so deep because he was tired of just sitting up front, and he dropped so deep because he wasn't getting the ball up front. That he more or less was just like, screw this, I'm getting the ball myself. And even then, he really didn't have that much success with it. But
Yeah.
I felt sorry for Rashford today. I can't deny his work ethic today. He worked very hard today. So I gave him a 5. I think 3 is a bit harsh, in my opinion.
Pretty much
On
four.
that one.
Okay.
Anthony Martial, can we mark him?
For me, 6. Didn't do anything to deserve a 7, but he did. I think he did pretty well when he came on. Made some good passes, kept the ball, which I think he would have done all game if he had started this game.
Yeah. He was able to hold the ball up a little bit, and that was already showing why he should have started the game in the first place. But he's coming back from injury, so I mean, you kind of get Solskjaer putting him on the bench for that one.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, I can understand.
yeah. And he was going into the manager's rating. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What are you giving him for today?
2, because I hate when he plays so defensively against the big teams. I can't stand it. I think it's everything that we don't stand for as a club.
Fair enough.
I think someone brought up a really good point earlier today. I can't remember who it was, but someone said if Mourinho or Van Gaal played a game like this, they would have gotten absolutely slammed by the fans for it. And I can
100%. Yeah. Um, yeah. I think 2 is a bit harsh. Um, or is it? I think I gave Solskjaer a 4. I think for the most part he picked the right 11 for the most part of it. I have no idea why McTominay played, and I have no idea why Greenwood or Rashford played. Martial should have been alongside one of them. Um, for me personally, I generally don't have a clue why he keeps picking Scott McTominay. I personally just don't really understand that. I thought he was going to go with the back 5 today, honestly.
I'm glad he didn't at least, but he still played so defensively.
Yeah, it definitely was a boring game to watch.
I,
Honestly, gosh, it was so boring, honestly. Anyways, well, anyways, um, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little bit of player ratings that we had here now. If you liked what you saw, smash like on the video, subscribe, check out the links below, everything, etc. And wherever you are watching this in the world, have a good day / evening.